Okay, there's a little portable version for the Humvee. Everyone needs one. And this, dating back to 1996, this is the Joint Mobile Tactical High Energy Laser, which is integrated with the U.S. and Israeli military, dating back to February of 1996 tests as well. That was designed to take down short-range rockets. So we know this is officially what's going on. Again, in April 1996, the U.S. agreed to accelerate high-energy laser development. Oakland Tribune, October 19, 2003. After sinking 40 years and billions of dollars into beam weapons, defense scientists are on the cusp of what could be a military revolution, warfare at the speed of light. Note, right after 9/11, a year or two after, and in some cases a couple months after, you'll see all of these articles about these new revolutionary weapon system. So obviously this means that there were none of these things in place. We were just thinking about them, funding them, testing them, modeling them. Note down here, armed with a beam weapon that is near instantaneous, gravity-free, and truly surgical, focusing in such hair-splitting accuracy. Panama deception. Note this back to 1992. How many people are familiar with the documentary Panama Deception, right? Academy Award winning documentary, won the Academy Award. Numerous interviews in there. In fact, shockingly, when I was looking at those cars that were toasted in the last presentation, very similar scenes in the Panama Deception. It went on to suggest that chemical weapons and even lasers were used in the invasion. Numerous eyewitness reports that lasers were in fact used during the Panama Deception.
Nosotros tenemos testimonios de personas combatientes que murieron.
We have testimony about combatants who died literally melted with their guns as a result of a laser. We know of automobiles that were cut in half by these lasers, of atrocities committed by weapons that fire poison darts which produce massive bleeding.
The Pentagon used Panama as a testing ground for newly developed high-tech weapons, such as the stealth fighter and laser-guided missiles. There are also reports that can't be explained, indicating the use of experimental and unknown weaponry.
Some of them wounded, and there are cases that we know, for example, the case of Manuel Carro, the case of Alexander Hubbard, and some others whose bodies were totally destroyed.
Operation Just Cause, this from the Earth Island Journal. Exotic laser weapons that melted human bodies and sliced metal car frames in two. And again, this is from 1989. I wonder if they have made any advances since then. Since we would never break these laws, I think they probably stopped right there after slicing these cars in half and melting human bodies because they knew it was wrong. What next? You're going to tell me U.S. was involved, or the CIA, in the death of the person before Noriega, and Noriega was on our payroll, and they were laundering drug money? No, I wouldn't suggest that. I'll leave that up to the official documents. Bertrand Gross, back in the 1980s, wrote the book Friendly Fascism, The New Face of Power in America. Sort of fascism with a smiley face. Kind of makes you yearn for the smiley face. We were already warned about the military-industrial complex by Eisenhower, among others. Right? It's well established what C. Wright Mills, the great sociologist, calls the power elite. In a mass society, as we build these large hierarchical organizations, a few people at the top having control. When I looked it up using Janes as the great military index, the three largest budgets in the world were U.S. military budget, Russian military budget at 66 billion, U.S. spy, oh I forgot we don't spy, U.S. gathering of access budget at 43 billion. And that's known budgets. Now it's somewhere in the 44 billion to 48 billion dollar range. And finally, right, the prison industrial complex, which explodes from the 1970s, right? Let's go back to William Randolph Hearst, great admirer of Mussolini. You need a good war against marijuana because you got to have the police doing something, preferably in an endless war. And you now have this massive prison industrial complex. You have this massive military industrial complex. You have this massive security industrial complex, which makes us all want to say the F word. Fascism. That's what it is. And I'm not making any assumptions on what happened at the World Trade Center. All I'm saying is we know from the public record there were high-tech secret weapons systems, incredibly advanced. In fact, I had the privilege of being the only alternative journalism, thanks to Helen Kellicott, that got into a little gathering of journalists. And you know how you think, well, the journalists are in on it? They are in on it. At the end of the day, when we, first of all, we had gourmet chefs, and we could get any gourmet meal we wanted. And you're assigned a military guy and a scientist, and they call you by your first name. I remember, General Horner calling me Bobby. I'm thinking, whoa, I am in the in crowd now. You know Chucky? He was there. In fact, I got a quote from him right here. I'm about to read you. And at the end of the day, they make fun of each other. And, you hear tales from, people from Fox and CNN, how Rumsfeld's misunderstood. And you really ought to get to know him, Bobby. Let me leave you with this quote here that Horner gave in May of 2005 at this little gathering. He said that current technology is indeed imperfect. He posed this question. If there was a laser in space with military application, is it per se a space weapon? I don't know. It's part of Joint Vision for 2020, demanding full spectrum dominance of the planet. You decide. All we know is high-tech space weapons. They're in use. They're lying about them. And they're well established in the public record. Thank you.